Hi, welcome to this episode of the Bible Study Spiritual Prime Rib. I'm Sue Baht-Yah, a follower of Yahshua, Jesus of Nazareth, a teacher of the Bible, history, and other ancient writings. I'm called to study, apply what I learned in my life, and then teach what the Bible says and what it means. I'm not looking to convert anyone here. This study is for those who are already following Yahshua and know the basics of the Bible. You kind of need to be familiar with some of the people and stories of the Bible, the things that we call spiritual milk. This study is solid food for the mature follower who reads, studies, and practices what's written in the Bible, and who wants to know more, to draw closer to Yah and to be fruitful for Him. So for those who are ready for more than milk, it's time for Spiritual Prime Rib. I apologize for not being here last week. I did have technical difficulties between sick children and grandchildren, and then what I had recorded just completely disappeared. I believe that's because our Father had some things He wanted to show me this week that I needed to be able to share with this blessing. So today we are going to talk about verse 24 from number 6, the Aaronic blessing. At some point, most every person attending a church hears this blessing at some, and I've already shared with you why it's important that we have this blessing, why we recognize the name that is being spoken over us in this blessing. And so I want to look at the part that comes out. It's usually translated, "May the Lord bless you and keep you." And it seems pretty easy, but I think it's important to remember that Hebrew is, if I know we've talked about the different wordings and pictographs of this language, but what I've been learning is, in English, our understanding of the meaning of words, when we look in the dictionary, it's another word. We try to take a word and then look for a definition, and the definition is a group of other words that tells you what that word means. But there are some words, even in English, how do you describe the color red to someone who's colorblind? There's some words that you just have to feel. There has to be some kind of feeling to it. Well, in Hebrew, it's a picture language. And I try to think of it as that old expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And in Hebrew, that's exactly true. A word, when you look at a picture, you're going to get 1,000 words from that picture. So that means there is not a single, one word that has a one-on-one translation for most words from Hebrew to English. There's actually a lot. So the words in verse 24, there's only 3 words, and one of them is His name. So in Hebrew, it's Yevarechecha Yahweh Ve'yishmerecha. And in that little bit, it says so much. That's what we're going to study tonight. So just like the 4 letters of the name of Yahweh and the 6 letters of Yahushua, there's such depth of meaning in those names. Hebrew is an art. It is pictures that are drawn out to describe feelings and experiences that you really have to look at it. In his studies, I know I have mentioned the book by Frank Seekins. There's another one by Stephen Babbitt. I actually happen to have it right here. This is the one from Stephen Babbitt. Elizabeth, you don't have to go buy it. You can borrow mine. Okay, if you really want, you don't have to get it. But this book right here goes right along the same lines as Frank Seekins and his study. And Babbitt reminds us that because language has changed over time, there was the early Phoenician language, which morphed into Hebrew, also a little Egyptian, and then Hebrew was influenced by the Babylonians. So some letters between these alphabets over time have similar meanings, or sometimes they have a completely different meaning. And that's why we need to research other uses of letters or words to make sure that we can determine the best meaning at some point what this is going to mean, what that word means. And what I mean by this is that we can't thoroughly understand what's being expressed in the scriptures, especially the Old Testament, and the teaching of Yehoshua in the Gospels without digging into what the letters of these words really mean. And that's how we gain a deeper understanding. So we're going to continue to do this. And as we did with the names, we're going to do as much as possible a breakdown of the letters of the words of this blessing. And so, the first thing I want to do, if you notice, both of these words end in the sound ka. Yevarecha ka and veyishmerecha. The ka at the end of these words is an individual you. You know, I'm from the South, obviously, I think. And down south, if you're talking to one person, it's you. If you're talking to more than one person, we use the word y'all. There are languages, matter of fact, most of them that I have studied, they have different words. There's a word for if there's just one person that you're speaking with, and there's a word for more than one person. In English, we just have the you. The verb, actually most of the time the verb doesn't change either with us. But it would be the same as I and we, only you and let's say y'all. Well, this blessing, although it is very often spoken over groups of people, and Moses was instructed to tell Aaron to speak it over the people, the blessing is spoken to an individual. In other words, each person that is having this blessing spoken over them is receiving it on their own. And this blessing is to this individual and this individual and this individual. So instead of it being bless y'all, may the Lord bless y'all, all of you, it is simply you, the one person receiving everything that there is to this blessing. So as we do this, as we study, every time you hear the ka at the end of the word, that is you. And you take that on yourself, because that ka at the end of the word is applying whatever that word was directly to you. So I wanted to get to that part first because I feel like it's really important for you to understand that it is for you, not for somebody else. This isn't something that's going to be for anyone. I mean, it's you. I may beat that dead horse, but I think it's important. So the first word that we come across is Yevarekaka. And the Yay is actually the Yud, and I actually have it right here. My wonderful flashcards. The Yud up here, we've talked about that before. It's the first letter in the name of Yahweh. It's the first letter in the name of Yahushua. I'm showing you the ancient one of it, just so you can remember that it was supposed to be a hand. But I'm gonna turn it around. It looks like an apostrophe now, the way it is written. And this first letter, it can mean an arm, or it is an arm. And so it's the hand of the divine creator. It symbolizes the work, the action, right? It's active, it's worship, it's to make something. It's also to cause something to happen or to cause to be that. It's the hand of our creator, right? So it's to create or make something. I like, Babbitt actually points out that it's also, because it's your hand, it's also to clutch, to grab onto something, to hold something. And he also put in there that many times it's used in returning something. And so when I think of that one, just think about that word, return, because we all at some point return. And this blessing is spoken once someone has brought their sacrifice, has asked forgiveness and received forgiveness, and then this blessing is spoken. So in essence, it is spoken over someone when they return to the Father. The next letter is the Bait. This is the ancient way that it's written. And this letter represents actually a tent or a house. There was the doorway coming in. It was the way that they set up their houses and their tents to have protection over here and have the entrance. The Bait yes, it's a house, but it represents family. It represents children, it being inside, being an heir. It also means to dwell together, to be united, to a congregation, to be within. It's to bring someone in close to you. You know, when somebody goes from being a stranger to being a member of your family, that is what Bait represents. That's becoming a member of the family. It could mean seed and having children. It could be getting married and joining families. It could be adoption. It's bringing you in close. And then we have the Resh. I believe we've talked about this one before. It's supposed to look like the head of a man, and it represents humanity. It represents the first, or the start, authority, a leader. It's also a reputation, an attitude, or distinguishing characteristics about something. What makes somebody an individual. It can also mean a bend, or to change directions, which repent. It can mean to focus on something, or to reason things out, or to plan things out. You know, men are the ones that, humanity is the animal that can reason and plan. And so if we remember that, this is what it looks like now. I just want to show you the resh. And last, there's two of these in the letter, or in the word, Yevarechecha, because Barech is how it ends, or is the root word. I'm sorry. It's the root word. And that is actually how all the prayers, all Hebrew prayers begin with Baruch or Barech. And that is blessed or praise. You know, Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu is bless you, or praise be to you, Yah, our God. And that begins every prayer, every blessing is how that begins. So this is the last word of that, or last letter of that root word. And it represents the palm of a hand. It could mean to open, to allow something, to tame something, to acknowledge it, or to invite, like to hold your hand out and here, come here, give me your hand, I'll take you. And so it's you at the end of a word, like we talked about, and then so it's the kaf, that's the name, and at the end of a word, by the way, it has a little leg, so it does look a little different when writing it. And so that word, and I've written it here, I have it in the paleo here, or the pictograph, and then in modern Aramaic right now. And so when we read this word, it means the hand of the divine creator, caused to become family, bring in close, or unite, to change directions, a reputation, a name, take authority, the hand of blessing, to invite, a blessing pouring over you. I know that sounds strange, but if you think about these things and how they make you feel, when you think you're speaking, you want Yahweh, your Father, to do these things. This is the, may the Lord bless you. This is what the bless means. It means for the hand of the divine creator to cause you to become family. You want him to bring you in close. You want him to unite you along with other believers. You want him to change your direction toward him. You want to carry his reputation. You want his name. You want him to take authority over your life and to provide for you. You want his hand of blessing to invite you into his home and into his family, into his dwelling. And you want him to pour his blessing over you. That is what that first word means. Yevarechecha. Yevarecha. That's a lot for one word, isn't it? And so, now let's go to the next word. This next word is actually one of my favorites. It's one that I have spent a lot of time looking up because, well, you'll see. This next word is Vayishmerecha. I do kind of laugh that sounds a lot like America, but it's not. So, Shmerika, or Shmer, Shomer, is actually a root word that it is used extensively in the Old Testament. And one of my favorite passages that it comes from, or that is used, or where it is used, I'm sorry, is Psalm, there it is, excuse me, is Psalm 121. This is one that I didn't have pulled up, so I'm sorry about that. But if you turn to Psalm 121, you will find it's starting with verse 1. I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from where comes my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you, that is Shmerka, will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps, Shomer, Israel, shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord, Yahweh, is your Shomer, your keeper. Yahweh is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall Shomer, preserve you from all evil. He shall Shomer, preserve your soul. Yahweh shall Shomer, preserve your going out and your coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Even though they have keep 3 times and preserve 3 times, in the original language it's the exact same word, and it's the Shomer. So, that's just an example of one of the many times in, let's see, Psalm 91, verse 11. For he shall give his angels charge over you to Shomer, keep you in all your ways. That gives you a little bit of an idea of what this word means. And so let's break it down by, well, other times that it's used. Let me do that. Other times that it's used. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, Adam and Eve were created and instructed to Shomer, keep the garden. That meant forest management. That meant preventative maintenance, right? Trimming the plants, letting oxygen in. I don't think there were probably weeds, but if something was growing it shouldn't be in a place, then it would have been their job to move it. It was also preventative maintenance on the animals. We were given authority over the animals as well. So, you know, if you've ever seen an animal who has their nails or their oh my goodness, I've seen donkeys where their hooves were not groomed and were not taken care of, and it becomes horribly painful for them. If we're taking care of the animals, that would have been something that we would have been shomering. There's also in Genesis 3:25 the assignment of the cherubim to keep the way of the tree of to the tree of life. They were to keep people out of the garden. They were to guard it. Genesis 4 verse 9, when Yah asked Cain, "Where's Abel?" Cain's response, "Am I my brother's keeper?" That's a shomer. Am I his guard? Am I the one that is going to know everywhere he is? Now, we don't have to get in the story of that, but it's still a usage of that word. It's to understand what that word means. And in Genesis 6, verses 19 through 20, Noah kept the animals in the ark. That meant he fed them, he provided their shelter, he cleaned their stalls, he probably groomed them, he made sure that they had water to drink, he kept them. It's also used for when it talks about observing Sabbaths or keeping the commands, making sure, let's say, the command not to lie, making sure that what you're saying is the truth. Most translations do use keep for this word, or like preserve. A few use protect or guard. The Vulgate reads custodiat, the word where we get custodial. And I do want to point out there's several different words, but two words in particular that are translated as to guard, or to keep something. And the first one is netzer. That is usually for a guard or a security type watchman. A shomer is more of a maternal type of watcher or caregiver. Shomer implies to hold a vigil over someone, like the parent of a sick child, or nursing someone to health. So a netzer would be kind of like a guard or a service dog, like a police dog. And a shomer would be more like a seeing eye service dog type that would be protective and making sure that you don't walk somewhere or touch something that might harm you. That's the difference between the two words. And I just wanted to point that out before, because eventually as we're studying, we're probably going to study words like netzer. And I just wanted to point those out. So, if we break down Vayishmerika, as we break that one down, let's see. Oh, I didn't say this earlier, but somebody once told me that if you know what the letters mean in Hebrew, you can understand at least the idea of what is being spoken, even if you don't know the exact translation of the words being used. And that goes back to that picture, that the letters paint a picture of what is trying to be explained to someone. I saw that note right here, and I just wanted to make sure to say that too. So, we know the Vav, right? This is the one that represents and. We talked about it's a tent peg. It's the nail, and it's also action. So it means and to cause. It can mean to do, to secure, add, and that's where this is and shomer, you, basically. And so we also have, again, the yod, the hand of the divine creator. We've already gone through that one, right? And it is to cause to be, to create, clutch, active, at, return. Then we have the shin. Looks a little bit like the old kaf. This is what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. Kind of looks like a funny looking W. And the shin is also the sh sound in Yehoshua. The shin, it represented teeth, being strong, separating, destroying. It could also, in, I believe it was the Phoenician original, that it represented a mother's breast. It represented nurturing. Again, the difference between a police service dog and a CNI service dog. There's a vigil, a softness, and yet strength to this letter. And then we have the mem. And the mem is, it represents water. It represents chaos. It can be blood. You know, water is unstable, but yet it's powerful. And this is the mem now, and at the end of a word. And at some point I think we'll go over that parts of Hebrew too. But and then there's the something else that Stephen Babbitt's book shared is that mem is also, it also represents substance. It represents, if you're using it to talk about a person, then it also represents their spirit. It represents their soul. It is their substance. It's what makes them them. And then we end it with the resh, which is the man's head. It's the authority, or to set over something, to turn around. Remember, that's this one right here. And then we end with the ka, the you singular. And so with that word, which I didn't write, I didn't do a page on it, not really completing it, but it's to cause to do, the hand of the divine creator, to nurture, to clutch our spirit, our soul, calm the storms, take authority over us. And I want to, before I go into how I put together something to help you understand what it means, I want to go back and remind you of what verse 27, when it explains what this blessing is. I just want to go back to that before we move on, because I think along with what the blessing says and what it means, it is vital that we understand what it is, especially in these times. So verse 27 says, so they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I will bless them. And literally, word for word, Vesamu means and put on, or you put on. or mark. Eighth is mark. I know that sometimes it means my and sometimes it means you, but eighth is the aleph and the tav, the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega. This says oath, and it means a mark, like a physical mark, the tav. And when you see the ram, the nail, and the crossed sticks, I think you see what this is. Eighth in this blessing is the aleph and the tav. It just doesn't include the vav in the middle, but it still means a mark, something special, a sign. And then Shemi, my name, the children Israel, and I will, and it's the same word that the blessing started with. Instead of barachu or baracha, it is barachim, which means bless them. And so, because it says that, Vesamu eighth Shemi, and you will put my name, you will mark my name on the children. I feel like I need to and I will bless them. When you take that barachim, and I will cause them to become family, exceedingly set over the hand of blessing. The Complete Jewish Bible says, in this way they are to put my name on the people, and that is, quote, an idiom meaning to share the reputation, end quote. It means to get married. You know, Ruth and Boaz, Ruth was told to spread his cloak over her, or ask him to spread his cloak over her. That was a demonstration that she was under his protection, under his wing. This blessing seems to be placing the engagement ring on the finger of the bride. It's changing her name that she is married. The consummation may not happen until the wedding banquet in heaven, but this is a marriage promise. That's what this is a picture of. This blessing is a picture of a marriage promise. It's an engagement ceremony. It's the priest standing over the bride and uniting us with the protection of what our husband does for us, what a husband does for his wife. It's our adoption also into his family. Either way, the picture of these first words, when I look at everything that these letters mean, this is how I came to define the first line of this blessing. When it says, may Yahweh bless you and keep you, to me, that just does not explain. It does not give you the picture of what it really means. And so my combination of what that really means is, may Yahweh bring you into his dwelling, turn to cover you with abundant blessings, and cleanse you, heal you, revive your very substance, your spirit. May he clutch you into his hand to prevent you from being lost or snatched away from him. And I know that's long, but there's so much that just those 3 words in Hebrew mean, that you kind of have to go through that long definition to understand what he is doing for us. And I hope that gives you something to chew on this week, because it's taken me 2 weeks to get through it. If you like what you see, please like and share this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And Yah willing, I will upload an understanding of verse 25 next week. Because when we get through this blessing, I'm going to end each video speaking this blessing and reminding us, oh, just how wonderful he is. So remember, don't be deceived or take anything for granted. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that I brought here, or if you can prove to me in Scripture that I am mistaken, please comment. Let me know. Talk to me. I don't want this to just be me sharing. If somebody has questions or comments, I want to be able to converse. Eventually, maybe I'll even be able to do some of these things live and on Zoom to where people can participate and talk to me, and we can discuss it. And so I thank you so much. I thank you for watching and for sticking in there with me. And Father, I just pray that you would bless everyone that's listening. Everyone that, no matter at what point of life they are in, that they would understand how wonderful this blessing is, and these things that you want to give to the people who love you and obey you and seek your face. And I pray that you will help us to understand just how incredible you are. In the name of your Son, Yahushua. Amen. Blessings and shalom.